So DJ, you talked about how rough your week was because of the Mariners, and it's all their fault. Let's talk about it. They opened their season on the road and they struggled.
Yes.
They went 1-6 in the first 7 games. They were shut out on opening night. They lost in walk-off fashion a couple times that week. They had a 3-game weekend series with the Angels. They continued to struggle. Sunday was one of the more embarrassing losses I've seen for this team, and it's hopefully the most embarrassing loss of the season because I don't want to have to watch that ever again.
Amen.
They had a 6-run lead going into the bottom of the ninth, and they gave up 7 runs and lost in a walk-off.
All with 2 outs.
I gotta gather myself for a second. About to get angry right now.
If they're gonna continue to lose games like that, I think we're gonna need to get DJ and Christian heart surgery.
We're gonna
I was out at grounds crew for the softball games, and we saw they were up 9-3. Like, oh, they're gonna win, and we put everything away and we check. We're like, all right, let's check our phones, see if the Mariners won. Sure enough, I check it, and I'm like, oh, that must be a typo or something.
right.
Like, I was in disbelief that they gave up 7 runs, especially with 2 outs and Diaz was pitching.
So let's talk about what went wrong over that long road trip, DJ. What did you see that went wrong?
Well, the main overlying theme was they couldn't hit with runners in scoring position, and especially the trifecta of Cano, Cruz, and Seager. They weren't doing very well. Right now, the M's are averaging just over 3 runs. And last year they were averaging about just over 4 runs. So they definitely got to improve on that. It's tough when your first 10 games are against division opponents too, and you get off to a bad start because that just kind of puts you behind the 8 ball for the rest of the season. Their first 7 of their first 10 games are against specifically the Astros, and the Astros they're a solid squad. They are currently 2-3 against the Astros right now, so they'll look to continue that success tonight at 7-10. But yeah, hitters, runners in scoring position, they got to perform when it comes to that.
I'd agree with that. Lacey, what did you see that was just not right with the Mariners?
Well, I like DJ's term, the trifecta, in Cano, Seager, and Cruz. Let me just rattle off some stats for you. For the first 8 games, Robinson Cano is batting .258, and his average for the entire 2016 season was .298. So significantly better there, just not getting off to a good start. And for Cruz and Seager, they're also struggling on the offensive end, both hitting below 200. Seager's at 192. He was at 278 last season, and Cruz has a batting average of 172, where he was hitting 287 last season. So I know it's early, only 8, maybe 9 games in from last night's game now, but still not a good way to start.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, at the beginning of the season is normally a time where you see, batting average ballooned up in the 400s, and that doesn't make any sense. Well, he hasn't had very many chances. So to see such low numbers out of the guys who have to be great for this team to be great is kind of frustrating right now. Drew, what did you see that went wrong?
As a lifelong Giants fan, the Mariners got struck by something that the Giants have been struck by year after year after year, and that was just terrible bullpen. Just a terrible play from the bullpen. Edwin Diaz got lit up like a Roman candle. You got to be able to protect that lead. That's a lot of runs. Like a 6-run lead. As a closer and as a middle relief guy, anyone coming out of the bullpen, you're happy with a 2 to 3 run lead. Double and triple that, you got to be able to protect that lead. I'm sorry, that's inexcusable at that point. And the bullpen better shape up. It's going to be a long season because you can't get very far without a decent bullpen. I mean, the Giants have before, but then they suffered from arm fatigue, and the Mariners have before, and they just get hurt. Yeah. That's why the bullpen's been so thin lately for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. And you saw Paxton going 7 definitely helped them yesterday. Kind of give them a break because they've been working, I guess, a lot these past 7 games.
I'm of the mindset that your starting pitching has to be good in order for your bullpen to be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
DJ, you would rather convert a 3rd and 4 than a 3rd and 9.
Yep.
Right. So to bring in relievers in the 5th and 6th and 7th, like the fifth inning, if you're bringing relievers in, then like it's going to be rough for not only that game but the next game after when they have to then pitch the next day
Yep.
and the next day and the next day. So it has a ripple effect. The one walk-off loss to the Astros,
That was a tough deal.
it was Chase DeJong who was there filling in for someone on paternity leave.
Dylan Overton.
So he's a fringe guy that maybe, it's just kind of one of those things.
Mhm.
They had used everyone up. They had Chase DeJong left, and that's what happened.
And they had the bases loaded
Yeah.
with no outs in, I think it was the top of the 13th. Bases loaded, no
No
outs.
outs.
And we walked a run in. We
Yeah.
didn't get
That's right.
anything off of a hit.
That's right. It was crazy. And then, like you said, Edwin Diaz couldn't locate a slider on Sunday, and
Yep.
even if he is throwing 100, you can key in on a fastball and knock it all over the park,
Yep.
and that's what
Well,
the Angels did.
the harder he throws, the further it goes. At the end of
Exactly.
the day, these are professional baseball players. They just take your power and use it against you. You throw the ball over 100, it's going to go a long way.
They see high 90s every day.
Yeah. So has there been anyone that has done well in those first 7 games on that road trip? Was anyone off to a solid
You wanna
start?
You want to start, Deej? Okay, no, I'll start. Mitch Haniger showcased a little bit of power, something that we saw a little bit from him in the minor leagues. Across the minor leagues last year, he had a 1.098 OPS, which is a sabermetric stats combined with is just power hitting and getting on base.
Yep.
Is basically that's how that is scheduled. So looking at this, he's kind of like the trust the process guy that has worked his way through the minor leagues and is now here and hitting the snot out of the ball. We'll see how he continues to do against major league pitching, because coming from the minor leagues, new kid on the block, they don't have a lot of film on you yet, don't know really how to pitch you. So they made him a couple mistakes, and he took advantage, which makes him a good hitter.
Yep.
We're going to see if he's going to continue to hit like this and maybe be a great hitter for the M's this year in an outfield that it hasn't hit the ball extremely well of late.
That's exactly right. At some point, the league is going to catch up to him, but to start the season, he's hit 3 home runs already. So solid first week for Mitch Haniger. Lacey, who stuck out to you?
The new shortstop for the Mariners, Gene Segura, has had the hottest bat thus far. He's batting .313 and can hopefully provide some consistency for the lineup down the road. Unfortunately, last night he left the home opener with a hamstring strain, but that shouldn't be too much of a setback. So I'm looking forward to seeing how well he does later down the road.
DJ, you got a guy you like to watch? thus far?
Yes. And he hasn't done good of late, but mark my words, right now he's going to go on a hot streak after he went 3 for 4 yesterday. He knocked in 2 runs, and I think it's just going to be the start, like I said, to a great run for Cruz here, especially for this homestand. I think it's really important that if we want to do good, he's got to get going, because he is that cleanup batter, and he's got to knock those runs in. With the combination of him and Cano, I think it could be really deadly to like leapfrog them going forward.
Yeah, that's fair. So let's talk about yesterday's home opener for the Mariners. They look like a different team. I think the mindset was that they were going to start over, as if the road trip, the 1-6 road trip, didn't happen. Even the pregame broadcast felt like that whole first week was non-existent. The M's went out and they beat the Astros 6-0. So who was a contributor? What'd you see, Lace?
Oh, I'll start. I think James Paxton was a huge reason why the M's were able to win by such a huge margin yesterday. 6-0, pretty decent win, solid win for them. He pitched 7 innings of shutout ball. He hasn't allowed a run yet this season in 13 total innings. And he could really be... he could really break through for the Mariners this year, I think.
I think that's fair.
We call that performance a gem in baseball. That's what we
Yeah.
call it. We call that throwing a gem.
Yeah.
Been waiting on James Paxton for the last 4 years,
And-
it feels like.
He's the only
Just another line from a
he's
depressed
the
Mariners
only
fan.
Mariners starter in franchise history to pitch 2 scoreless starts in his first 2 starts, besides Felix Hernandez. Just
So there's only been 2
throwing that
guys,
stat out
Felix
there.
Hernandez and James Paxton.
Yep.
Yeah, people.
Yep.
Yeah. James Paxton. He won my Twitter poll of Mariner I'm supposed to hate this year, but if he keeps doing
What?
this, it's going to be so hard for me to do it.
I think
Because
he's going to be the Mariner with the best breakout season.
I think that's the reason why I think a lot of people picked him, because it's
Yeah.
been 4 years of waiting for James Paxton to be healthy and then waiting for him to be decent, and now he's finally figured out. He's changed his arm slot. It went from way over the top to a little bit more
3/4
lower at a 3/4 angle, and now he's found extra velocity, and all of a sudden he's untouchable. So far.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be a couple rough starts, but if you can do this all year long, then that'll be huge for the Mariners.
Yeah.
DJ, who was solid yesterday, I think you already talked about him a little bit.
Well, yeah, but I'm just gonna say like all around, like defensively, pitching wise, and then hitting. And I think it was the 4th inning. We had the bases loaded, no outs, didn't score, and so there were some people that started booing, and I think that was a real wake up call to the Mariners. Like, hey, we better get our stuff together because otherwise people are going to start booing us, and our fans realize that we're not doing well. And we saw after that they kind of came through and they had an offensive explosion in the last 5 innings, scoring 6 runs.
Yeah.
But I think all around it was just a very positive game and something to look forward to. Like I said, with when I was talking about Cruz, like just this homestand, like if we can have a good homestand here, we have 3 games coming up against Texas and 3 against Miami in some interleague play. But if we can like maybe get 2 or 3 from Texas, that would be really key in our division.
I agree. Drew, do you have anyone that stood out
Yeah,
yesterday?
the bottom half of the order, Martin Zunino, Dyson, all had hits all across the plate. I mean, if the Mariners continue to get that kind of production from the bottom half of their order, they'll be in good shape because, at the end of the day, Haniger, Cano, Cruz, Seager, I mean, I know Seager's been a little bit down last year, but he's all reliable at the end of the day. And you're going to get some production from them, but if they can get some hits and runs from that bottom half of their order, they're going to continue to be successful.
Yep.
Good stuff. So we're off and running with the Mariners here.
Yeah.
They're
Season
off
is
and running
underway.
to a 2-6 start.
Hey, it's early. It's early.